So hi guys, and welcome back to the Always Wired podcast. We're joined today by the lead singer of one of Scotland's rising bands, the Rorian, Debbie Rorian.
Hello.
So Debbie, why don't you just start off as we start off most of our other podcasts, just tell the viewers a wee bit about yourself.
Well, I don't know, I'm kind of a bit of what you see is what you get, but I suppose music-wise, it's the same old, done it forever. And I've just kind of bounced from band to band. And it's quite good. Like, I've actually heard a lot of people who went from band to band, but it's because like they fell out and everything else. Whereas I've always just been a bit like, I've grown out it, or that's went in a different direction, or I've got like another job and I can't keep up with their rehearsals and stuff. So yeah, always been in bands. When I'm not in bands, then I'm always like either creating events, working at events. I do event hosting, I do broadcasting, presenting, everything really, everything that I can get my teeth into to keep me going. It's funny when people say, talk about yourself, you're just like, I can talk for miles about everyone else, but yeah, when it comes to me, I'm a bit like, oh, I never know what to say.
Because you used to be one of the voices of William Hill as well, didn't you?
Yes.
You were on the show, like the TV before the races.
Yes, that was like one of my absolute favourite jobs. And I mean, I do actually hope I go back into sports broadcasting because that's all I do really is follow every single probably Scottish team, well, at least in the Premiership's podcasts and stuff. And I feel there's such a lack of females doing podcasts. Now, I'm definitely not going to start a podcast because I would be my own worst nightmare because I talk too much. I think the best thing about podcasts, if the host asks the questions, and this isn't a dig at anything, but I just mean like every podcast I watch, every other host has nailed it. So I just know, no, I don't want to host my own podcast or anything like that. But yeah, going back to the broadcasting, the presenting, absolutely loved it. As far as I know, there's not many female Scottish Greyhound commentators. In fact, I may be the only one. I don't know if that's like an attribute that I should be very proud of or not, but yeah, I did love that. It was funny, there'd be days where you would see if you were either presenting, then you knew you had to like wash your hair, do your makeup, get up at like 4 a.m, wiggle into a wee dress. But if it was a day where like you were broadcasting, then you could just throw on whatever you wanted. But it was great. The only problem was William Hill TV was shot in Leeds, so it was a lot of travelling up and down, but any overtime down there I would do it as well. But then it was becoming apparent that the band was getting a bit busier, you were getting better gigs, and it was always like I'd either be gigging like the Friday or the Saturday or the Sunday, and then I'd be straight down for work in Leeds in the Monday morning, and I'd be a little bit hoarse, a little bit gravelly, and then to make matters worse, obviously a lot of William Hill customers, well, our most shops and stuff are in England. The full team down there were English bar one other Scot. And yeah, it was quite hard sometimes with some pronunciations, and it made it worse if I was hoarse. And I'm very prone to getting hoarse. But yeah, that was like one of my favourite jobs. But I'll get back into it. I love radio, presenting, anything. I will turn my hand to anything.
Is that another word for pished?
Horse? No, horse as in sore throat.
Oh, right. I thought you were just getting steaming and you were hungry the next day.
Neil, it's dead hard getting into work, horse. No. No. The funny thing is, like, gigging wise, I was mostly always the designated driver. 9 times out of 10, I'd be driving, and I was always watching my voice. So definitely, that was like. So we haven't gigged for a year, which we'll get to, but obviously it was just before that. So we were starting to like gig constantly, and yeah, something kind of had to give a bit. But I mean, I still keep in contact with everybody. I wouldn't write it off. I'd actually probably love to go back and work down in Leeds, but it's just so hard, the travelling, when you've got all these other commitments. But 2021's looking good. There's a million events that I've bought tickets to. There's a million events that I would love to work at. So it's just going to be kind of balancing all that.
because you touched on it a wee bit earlier with like women in podcasting, and it was funny because we were talking about this the other day on our podcast, and we were sitting there and we were reflecting at the end of it, and we were like, this is the first woman that's like yourself. You're the first woman to ever appear on our podcast. I was actually doing something seriously wrong.
I'm quite chuffed at that. It's funny because every podcast I've done, like it's all been males interviewing me. I did the 23 Universe one. I did the Pelican Rogue music podcast. I've done SoulCal FM's podcast. I've done loads of others, and I feel Beverly Lyons, The Caged. There's loads, and I'm going to forget them all, so I'm going to be quiet and just say etc.
Someone with the second name Lion having a podcast called Caged is probably one of the best things I think I've heard.
Absolutely, and her handle is the Showbiz Lion. You probably know Bev. Like, she's a total girl about town. So during lockdown, like, she's a journalist, and she's just amazing. She's a total power woman. And so yeah, she obviously is not one for sitting idle. Well, God, there you go. I'm sitting saying there's no women that do podcasts. There you go, Bev. But yeah, Bev's probably the one and only I know. But she's met Beyonce, she's met Trump. Like, there's nothing that Bev can't do anyway. So
that's amazing, because you were kind of touching on the band slightly there, so we'll revert back to that. So how did the Ronians start about? But how did you get started?
The Ronanes started. Okay, no, you keep saying like yesterday we were doing a live stream all day, and this one guy, because a lot of people call our name silly different things to wind us up, but it's all in good jest, and it was like the Romanoffs, the Remains, the Ronans, and everything. So we are the Ronanes. So the Ronanes is the brainchild of Jim. And a lot of people really don't know Jim's like extremely musical. When I'd met him, like he played the piano and stuff, and he played the guitar. He'd never ever picked up a bass in his life, and he'd written so much material, and he was just kind of on the lookout. He didn't know if he wanted a male or a female. He didn't have a clue what the lineup was going to be. And yep, I was in a pub in Kilwinning. I forgot the name. It's right next to the train station.
Oh, Taylor's.
I don't know. Is it maybe that now? But maybe back then it was. I don't know. It's next to the train station anyway. I'm probably too drunk, but
I think I know where you are. It will either be Taylor's or the one across the road, but I can't remember the one across the road. I only know because I used to live in North Ayrshire. So yeah,
oh, wow.
I used to go to Taylor's, and the one across the road, but I can't remember the name of it.
Oh, nice. Well, yeah, so I was up giving it yalsy on the karaoke, and that was kind of the ball started rolling. And so we were trying out a few different like drummers. Jim was always going to play guitar, so we're trying out bass players, and we kind of got for a little run like quite a good band going. We had a great girl, Jenny, on the drums. She was self-taught, and we were kind of beginning to kind of step up a level and stuff. So we did know we were going to have to be like picky. Like, we knew our next one was going to have to be like top notch. We did have a stand-in, Lauren, who helped us out big time. She stepped in while we were on the hunt for someone who was going to be able to be 100% committed. Lauren had already told us she couldn't be, but she came to our gigs, helped us out and stuff while she was training. And she's a jazz drummer, so it was kind of not exactly what we're looking for, but she was perfect. She was amazing. It was a couple of guys, Mark. Again, lovely guys, but we were just kind of stepping up that little bit where we thought, right, we really need to put better pieces of the puzzle together. And our producer is Gordy Gowdy, who he plays with like Simple Minds, Rod Stewart on tour and stuff. So he had produced our first album, or was in the midst, of producing our first album, and along came Shawnee. He was in a small kind of just jamming band with Gordy, and Gordy was like, this guy needs to be out gigging, because Gordy didn't perform with this wee jamming band or anything, and he was like, oh, Sean needs to be back on a stage, and he's a phenomenal singer, wait till you meet him, you'll love him. And I remember going to meet him, and like, I'm saying to Jim, right, we'll play it cool, don't tell him then and there if he's in, like, we need to really think about it, because we kind of went through a few jokers kind of at that point, and we needed somebody committed. And just, for anyone who did ever meet Sean, like, you know, it is love at first sight anyway with Sean. So I think we were about 10 minutes in before we're like, oh my gosh, Sean, we pure love you. You have to be in the band. So yeah, never play us at poker. We're crap. So yeah, that was amazing. So it was like, oh, this is great. We've actually got this epic guitarist in. So it was a wee bit like move over Jim, because although Jim was great at the piano and all sorts, we knew Sean was our lead guitarist, and Jim kept pestering the life out of this little sweetheart who just wasn't up for it at that moment. She was like, it's not the right time for me, it's not the right time for me. This was AKA Lindsay. And he persevered and persevered. He never gave up. Like, the guy is relentless. I mean, thank God I kind of said yes to him, like, almost straight away. Like, I was just a bit like, yeah, why not? Let's make another band, see where it goes. Because I dare say if I never... And so Jim, obviously, as I said, pestered the life out of us, and then pestered the life out of Lindsay. And they met her for a coffee. And so one day, I didn't actually think I even knew this was happening. We were rehearsing over in Brick Lane Studios in Paisley, and in came Lindsay. And it's just weird. Like, I think it is like love at first sight. It's funny how you just click with someone. And she wasn't coming in to do anything that day. She wasn't even coming in to pick up sticks or anything. She was just literally coming in to meet us, and that was it. And thank God, like, she loved us the way we loved her, because she said yes. So that was how the Renains was finally born. And I mean, we already had Gordy behind us, and to be honest, actually, we've got an amazing team behind us. So I think it's more the team behind us are so strong that, because again, we can probably get to that later, like, we were at a wee point where we're going to quit. And the thing is, we're not quitters, we are absolute fighters. Like, I mean, any musician will tell you, you are jumping over hurdles literally all your life. So you just have to keep going. And sadly as well, during lockdown, loads of bands that I love all the backstage banter with, I've just seen split up, dissolve, and I get it. It's so hard to even try and rehearse. It's so hard to book anything. It's brutal.
That's quite funny you say that, because we had Bobby McDougall from
yes,
Nocturne Wolf. We had him on a couple of weeks ago, and funny enough, I got his name wrong on air as well. So it's a recurring theme. Every episode, I'll get something right, so it's fine. And he was.
Oh, Bobby's lovely.
He's got such a great outlook. Let's see, get into that interview with him, because me and him, we spoke a lot about COVID and kind of the impacts that COVID is having on the music industry. And I just was going off for what I was seeing on the news and was like feeling dead negative about it. And then after speaking to him, I was at, the summer 2021 music's going to be amazing. It's going to be the best thing ever.
No.
Because what he was saying is he was at...
I actually don't know how I'm going to work.
I know. I didn't think about that, actually.
I bought so many tickets for everything next year that I'm sitting thinking, oh my word, I'm going to have to use all my holidays just to like get days off for gigs, because I've bought more gigs for next year on top of all the gigs that are getting rescheduled. So, but yeah, sorry, Bobby.
No, it's fine. It's your podcast. You're saying you're saying about you. It's brilliant. But he was saying that if artists don't have aren't hitting us with like a plethora of music in the summer, he's like, but what have they been doing? Sort of thing. He's like, this is the best time for artists to sit down and just put their whole life and soul into it, because everyone's furloughed as well. So the amount of time you must have to sit and write new music, it must be amazing.
Yeah, I do feel quite bad. You're saying everyone's furloughed out of the band. I'm the only one that's not furloughed. Like, I'm not allowed to say, because obviously we do have LP. LP lives so far away from us. She lives in Dunbar, and that's why it's actually quite hard to book rehearsals. Obviously, we can't book rehearsals just now. She's in a tier 2, which is great. She could probably go into a studio, but we can't even travel, and we're all in different like kind of local authorities and stuff. So she has a really, really important job, which makes it all the more crazier, because she's like, oh, I'm just going to leave my job moved to Glasgow. But to be fair, she'd always said she was going to move to Glasgow anyway. And we were like, oh God, you can't quit your job, sell your house, and just move to Glasgow for the Renains. And she's like, who can't? So, she'd sold her house just before lockdown. And now everything's again on hold. So she's like, oh, I don't know what to do. Oh, I need to keep my job just now, which I absolutely agree. She has to keep her job going just now. She can sell a house once we kind of get the whole place back open again.
So who is like your passion in music, or your inspiration, sorry, should I say?
Such a hard one. I don't know if anyone can ever answer that, because I think it can change day by day. I think it definitely changes year by year sometimes. I think being brought up, my dad was an amazing singer, never sang in his life or anything, but that was all we would ever do. Is like, I'd be sitting singing in my room, I'd hear my dad sing in a living room and all that. But I do remember like the kind of first kind of sounds I heard. Well, one was Boy George, but it's not him. But my dad got me quite into Stevie Wonder and Aretha Franklin at a very, very young age. So straight away, that was like, it was always like the Stevie Wonder songs, like his melodies, and just everything was so happy. And then my dad kind of got me into a love of musicals. So like, it was great because we just had like the normal, well, back then, like 4 TV channels, like channels 1, 2, 3, and 4, and it'd be like a treat if you got like Calamity Jane or Oklahoma or something on the telly. And this is like, I don't think we were posh enough at the time to have Sky. So yeah, it was all like musicals and all that and all my dad. And then kind of growing up a wee bit, you just had everything. So like the early 90s, you had like Salt-N-Pepa and kind of the TLCs, but also had a massive love for Whitney and Madonna. And that was basically, I've got 2 elder cousins. I've got loads of elder cousins, but these 2 cousins, Pamela and Gail, would make me mixtapes, and it would all be like Madonna and Whitney and stuff. So there was all that. But then there was my brother. My brother would have me, and it's funny because we were actually doing a live, a streaming all day gig for Frontline Scotland yesterday, and it was Wet, Wet, Wet. But my brother, he got me into like Wet, 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 Simple Minds, James and everything, and then I was like the Stone Roses, moving on to Oasis. So definitely the best part was like, I remember, I think like I was primary 7 when I first ever heard of Oasis, and they'd done a gig near Glasgow in Balloch, and my brother tickets couldn't sell this ticket, and I was begging and begging to go, and my brother was like, no, I'm not having you hanging on. And I'd like asked my dad, can he buy me the ticket and everything, and it was like unheard of, like, because you just kind of that age, you don't really, well, saying that of like nieces and all that are all going and seeing Jessie J and stuff, but back then like going to a gig was a massive thing, especially when you're younger. But yeah, so kind of then all through the 90s, it was kind of Oasis, Stone Roses and that for me, James, and then, I mean, there was a bit of Take That and Spice Girls, I suppose, in there. It changes all the time, because like now for probably like the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years, it's been Pink, Foo Fighters, loads. It's crazy. It's weird, I'm not very much into brand new stuff. Lots of people can listen to brand new music and instantly love it. I'm very much, a song has to grow in me for absolute ages. But I'm a massive, massive lover of Motown as well. And that's kind of the songs I enjoy singing, but obviously it's not the songs we sing in the Renains. So during lockdown, I've just been singing random songs. There's been no connections. I've been doing musicals and any bit of Motown that I fancy, jazz. But yeah, it's endless. You ask anyone who their influences are, I don't think anyone could probably pinpoint their absolute.
Was there ever a moment when you just listened to a bit of music and went, that's what I want to do, but that's what I want to be? I want to be a singer, or was it just something that you?
I remember, like, I loved Meatloaf, and I just always remember, like, he'd done a lot of duets. Obviously, done the most famous one, I Would Do Anything for Love, and I loved the female bit. We hold me up, we have. So I remember, like, oh, I really want to sing that song I wish that was me. And then he did obviously another duet, Paradise by the Dashboard Light. I've still never found a living soul who will duet that song with me live. Like, I would just want to get up my karaoke and somebody sing that song to me. So I think Queen and Meatloaf, there's more bands influence me. Like these, like they're the kind of songs that get me up and get my juices flowing, and I want to sing them and all that. Weirdly, I'm saying I've not really heard any new music for ages. It takes a while. Like, somebody has to probably recommend it to me. Then I give in. Then I'm like, holy shit, how have I not like loved them already? But there was two girls yesterday on the gig we were doing, and it was so funny because I said to Jim, oh my God, you have got to hear these two girls. Because Jim's a bit into Jim's got his own record label and stuff. So I was saying to him, and he was like, what's their name? And I was like, Kodak Ghost. Oh, they were sensational. And he was like, Debbie, that's the girls I've been telling you for months to listen to. He's like, they've just changed their name. It's like, oh, well, you're right. I do. I love them. So that was new music. But again, Jim had been trying to get me to listen to them for ages. And it was just like, you probably have to send me directly the link to their music, and then I'll click on it and then I'll be grand. But if you're just telling me a name, I've honestly got dementia, I swear. I hate even saying that, but like, I've got a memory like a sieve. I have to depend on all my friends to tell me who people are, to tell me memories, and then they'll jog my memory, and then like it's fine, I'll remember. But yeah, new music was yesterday, the Kodak Ghosts. They were pretty cool.
Because I've always kind of wondered this. Like, this is more a kind of just a fan question. Do you ever sit and listen to your own music? Like, do you ever sit there with the headphones in, listening to like Quarantine?
So the only time I do, I have, there's a few times where like I've thrown, my CD's always in the car. Basically, because if somebody jumps in my car, just like, oh, do you need a lift? Come on in. Then I'm like, playing the Remains. You've got no choice. So only the CD's stuck in there. That's the only one that works. So yeah, funnily I've not listened to it in quite a while, and Quarantine's obviously not on that album. But it's actually now on one of my playlists through. I was trying to make a playlist there for the gym, so I threw that on there. There's one like not blowing my own trumpet. It's not on an album either. We are not really one for doing covers, but I do love a cover. It's what sometimes makes like a gig erupt. I'm going to put this cup of tea down. Hold on.
Oh, that's fine.
But we obviously covered House of the Rising Sun, and it's probably the one song that I still get excited about just listening to it. If I happen to be scrolling and a memory comes up, then I will sit and I'll watch the whole lot of that. Half of it is because I love watching the video because Sean's in it, and I love like his riff on it, and he's just a god. But I think I impressed myself with House of the Rising Sun. We were just in the studio one time, and sometimes like harmonies and that don't really come easy to me. Like, so funny, I always sometimes think because now I'm not doing it and I'm sitting furloughed, and I think I'm a phony because I'm not singing, I'm not gigging. But I mean, there's not a day goes by that I'm not singing. It's funny, that's why I think I listen to so many podcasts while I'm working. See, if I listen to music, I don't get anything done, because I'll be like, oh, I'm going to record that. Oh, I need to finish and sing this whole song before I can get back to counting something. So that's why I listen to podcasts so much. But yeah, House of the Rising Sun, I think, is one of the best song that I love singing it live. One of the best compliments I got when Gordy had never ever heard us do it. We done it live once, and in the time when we were just practicing it, I'd kind of in a corner and I'd faced away from the band, and I gave out that big whoa, and I screamed. Right, so I was like, oh, okay. So I kind of turned around, and it was like Jim, Sean, and Lindsay were just sitting there with their jaws open, going, "Please tell me you remember what you did there," because that's another thing. We were messing about. We do this all the time. We mess about, and I'll give this crazy big whoa, whatever. And then I'm like, oh, why did I not record that? Because I can't feel like I remember what I just did there. And I do it all the time. So I need to start recording myself more. But yeah, on the back of the House of the Rising Sun, I remember I went to my friend's wedding. In fact, it was a surprise for the groom. My friend had said to me, could you sing? Well, I was a bridesmaid, but you go first and sing the rest of the bridesmaids and then the bride down the aisle. And it was beautiful. It was in the Croon on the Loch Lomond. And I was singing Stand By Me, and it was quite cool because Jim was at the very front seat in the I don't know, it's not a chapel, but the venue, and the groom hadn't seen that Jim's guitar was away in a corner. So as the kind of doors opened and before we come in, one of the assistants hands Jim his guitar. He starts strumming away. I walked down, and it was so hard to sing because I was nearly crying. And it went perfectly. So later on that night, there's a live band, and my pal Suzanne, obviously all our friends are singers, and Suzanne was like, "Oh, come on, you guys got them sing." And thing is, it's your friend's wedding. You know what, you got up there, sing an absolute outstanding number, everybody praising, you know, that it's your friend's wedding. The limelight should be on your friend, you know what I mean? So my friend Lisa went up, and Lisa's formidable. She's fantastic. She went up and done a song, standing ovation, everything. And then Suzanne's like, "Come on, Debbie, you need to go." And I was like, "Well," and I was like, "Oh, bugger it." And I'd only ever done House of Rising Sun once, and just said to bands, like, "Can you do House of Rising Sun?" Yep. So I did it. And then it was funny, like, obviously it got a great response. And my friend was just like, "No way did that just happen." And then later she's like, "Do you want to go back up again?" I was like, no, I've done it once. Like, if you're at the top, don't do it. And it was great because like the next days it followed, people were just sending me all the videos for the wedding of me singing it. And I was like, God, that was actually quite good. Because sometimes something live on a phone also can sound absolutely crap. But yeah, so that's a song that I heard. Oh, sorry, you were saying about listening to our song. So yeah, I'll listen to that song. And I do just go back and listen to the album. One of the songs I listen, in fact, two songs that are my favourite on the album are When It Comes Around. So we don't gig that song for whatever reason. I love it, and it's just always like, I get it, because when we do a set, we want to be quite high powered. But yeah, When It Comes Around. Another one I love is Serial Killer. I love Serial Killer because I remember at the time I thought, "Gordy, you're off your head. This is too high for me." He's like, "Not at all. I know you can sing it." So I loved it. I think the recording, though, you can hear that I actually was pushing it. I wasn't quite as good on the recording as I am now singing it, now that I actually know it. But I was going to say there, the best compliment I think I ever got was when I recorded House of the Rising Sun for Gordy. He'd never heard it. He actually just stopped and turned around, and I kept singing, and I was a bit like, "See, still," because he never faces me. He's always on the desk whenever I'm singing, and he just sat back to watch me, and I was like, "Is that all right?" And he was like, "Oh my God, that was amazing." He's like, "Right, we're going to do that." He's like, "Do that again." He's like, I don't even need to touch your vocals. Not that I'm auto-tuned or anything like that anyway, but there's times where like maybe he'll hold a note longer than I've held it or something like that. But yeah, it was the best compliment was, he was like, "I don't need to touch that song." Like, that was great. So that felt good.
That was something I did notice actually, because I listened to your song like Quarantine. That's on a lot of my Spotify playlist now. That and Who the Fuck Are the Ronanes. That's one of my favourite. That's one of my favourite ones. And I was listening to the set you done live last night.
That's a good one to perform.
I was listening to that today on Facebook, and it was like when quarantine started. I was just sitting there, and I was a bit bemused because I was at. It sounds exactly the way it did on Spotify. I was at. They're literally not doing anything. It was just amazing to see.
No, well, we did have to play a back, as I was playing it, as I was singing, did have to play a backing track, because if you hear it, like, there's all the echoes, so all my harmonies I was on a backing track. The actual me singing is me singing, but the rest is a backing track. Probably shouldn't give these things away, but no, that one was quite electronic. So like the boys, I'm used to saying the boys, Jim and Lindsay and all that, had to still give it Yaldi, but along to the backing track, the electronic parts.
Right, all right. So obviously, the band's got really big recently. It's like, I feel like you can't turn on the telly without seeing these, like, the Dragon Soup adverts on all the time, and it's a really good advert, by the way. So when did you first start to notice the band like, essentially like start to take off?
I don't know because to me, I'm like, I don't think we're anywhere. I mean, summer 2019, I suppose we did feel a bit of a shift, but I think definitely for us, the band isn't like a job. It's not like anything like for fame or for fortune. I mean, we've turned down some things because morally they weren't right to us, and then we have had people going, "You're an idiot, you should have done this, you should have done that," and I was like, nah, but at the end of the day, if it didn't sit right with me, then no. But last summer, it's so hard because I feel as if you can't even count this year. But last summer, 2019, it did. I suppose you can gauge it a little bit on one, you're getting paid more. Two, your name's getting a little bit bigger in the posters, your name's getting a little bit closer to the headline acts and all that stuff. But I mean, generally, it's not really something I go on and look at anymore. I think when you first start out, like when you see a poster, you are scanning it like for your name. But definitely, as it's been on now, it's not totally something I look for. Generally, I'm just looking for, oh, this is going to be bloody epic. And I'll look to see who we're playing with, because a lot of it is all to do with backstage. Like, see if you get great folk. And a good thing you were touching there on Bobby. So, like, Bobby came to see us. We went to see them. We were all with Reaction Management. And like you were saying, I was saying earlier, in all the bands, maybe singers leave or such and such. Obviously, Bobby had left, and then thank God he came back. But I definitely, like yesterday, I watched from 12 o'clock till I think it was like 10:30, 11, that full Scotland live stream for Frontline Scotland. And I was liking every single bit of praise that people were just getting. I mean, folk must have thought I was running it or something, like I was one of the organisers, because I was on it the whole day. But again, I was actually sitting doing my taxi yesterday with it playing. And then as soon as the band was finishing, hadn't even heard of the band, and well, some of them in my life, and I'm writing, that was amazing. And I just think, like, there's not enough sometimes encouragement from people. I think we keep really, really good company. What we've tried to do, and the Dragon Soup advert's a great example of this. We've always tried to absolutely give back to anybody that's been on this journey with us. We did our album launch, which was March 2019. Was that my album launch? Yeah. March 2019. That was the album launch, and it was a Hard Rock Cafe. So we started selling the tickets in December 2018, and I had went to, my friends all live in America, so I'd went to America for Christmas and New Year, and our manager Jay at the time messaged, he's like, did you guys keep tickets for your like friends and family for the album launch? And I was like, no, I just put the link up and told everybody to buy a ticket. And he was like, it's sold out. So I was like messaging some of my friends. I was like, you've got tickets? And they're like, no, get us with some. I'm like, I can't, it's sold out. So our manager was like, you want another night put on? I was like, could we fill another night? Put the tickets up, poof, they sold as well. And it's weird, you're like, what? Why are people wanting to come to this? So the good thing was that was it. Other bands that had maybe gave us like support acts to them and stuff, our friends like the Jacks, Pelican Rogue, all these guys, we got them on the bill, paid them all. And also we had always followed a bunch of these youngsters. They played like in King Tut's and the Amistess, a crack musician, Mick Hargan, nurtures them, gives them a stage, everything. It's great. So we were like, well, instead of like a stage just in a pub, like this album launch seems to be growing arms and legs. It's going to be a big deal. So we got 4 of the kind of younger ones, Robin Ashcroft, Connor Fife, Kim Irvin and Claire Docherty, gave all them a slot. And I think, I could be wrong, like that was one of their first like big sellout gigs they played at. And now all of them are all going on, actually just fast forward a year and they're all amazingly selling out gigs here, there and everywhere. Connor is absolutely shooting. So there's another one. There's one for you if you're looking for a next interview, Connor Fife.
Right, I'll pen his name down. He's in the thought process.
To say, there. To say, like, when would you notice? I think it's something that just goes over your head because it's gradual. So the money starts going up for the gigs. Your name starts going up higher in the bill. You start realising that, oh, I'm not on the side tent. I'm in the main tent. I think our massive turning point probably was Foodies Festival. Foodies Festival, we did get told, look, never before has an original band played at Foodies. Foodies is all about the food and the drink. And yes, there's always great entertainment. It's always like kind of Boyzone and Scout for Girls and Hoosiers, like great bands that have got amazing, like great hits and all that, that you're going to have a drink and everything and just sit on like with your picnic blanket and just watch. And on board with us there is Clive Layton. So he was kind of saying, look, I haven't even seen you guys live yet, but I'm putting all my eggs into one basket. I've booked cheese. I really hope he was hoping his manager would love us, and then it would go on to us getting booked for the following year and stuff. So that was us. We were going on. We were the warm-up act for Hoosiers, and he said, "Look, folk are not going to know your songs, so don't take offence. We're used to being doing gigs where folk are jumping about mad, getting sweaty." He said, "This is not this type of place. It's a foodies festival. It's quite upmarket." And obviously we had to watch which songs, because some of our songs, I could go on all day about them, but Heroin sings about all that jazz. So yeah, we had to wisely choose our set list. And within the first like strum of Sean's guitar, all of a sudden everybody was up dancing. So I wasn't prepared for that, because I was actually prepared for everybody to stay seated. So I was kind of like, right, okay, this is going well. We could see the owner. She's tapping along. Her husband's loving it. And I'm like, we are doing quite good here. Don't blow it. And then Jim starts, there's hundreds of kids and all that as well, because it's a big family event. Jim starts bringing up 20 kids on the stage. There's cables, wires everywhere. Security, health and safety. Everybody's kind of having a wee heart attack. And then I'm trying to sing and usher them back off the stage, because I could see people panicking. I thought, I'm going to murder him. He's blowing it for us. To come off the stage, and like we had Clive going, "Oh my God, that was amazing." And then the Hoosier guys all coming over going, "God, that was shit hot. It was brilliant. Like, stick around, come to our party afterwards." But we were driving miles away to gig in the grounds for another gig that night, and we'd just been invited to the Hoosiers after party. Could not believe it. But we keep our word. We drove down to this next gig. We were the last act that night because we were running a bit late. And it was just as amazing as ever. We've done that gig a few times, Gig in the Ground. It's an amazing festival. Away down, I'm going to get it wrong. It's Castle Douglas or Douglas Castle. I'm so sorry, Kenny. But it's like a massive marquee with bales of hay in the middle, 2 stages. So once that stage is off, you just turn round in your bale of hay and the next band's ready to go. It's such a great setup. You're not sitting waiting around for bands or anything. So, yeah. So after, on the back of the Hoosiers gig, we get a call a week later, and it's, "Right guys, I know it's last minute, can you make it in 5 days to London to support Scouting for Girls?" So we were like, "Oh my God, yes, yes." And it's funny because Jim was at a photo shoot with a girl, Maya, he works with, and I was just sitting in the car and I was FaceTiming them because they were lying. I was like, trying to bubble and not really tell what was happening, but I was just desperate to say, "We've just been asked to play me Scouting for Girls." So yeah, I suppose that felt like a take-off moment. So I think it was. I think the wheels had just come up in the plane and we were ready to set off. But then obviously 5 days later, our worlds crashed and we've not actually gigged since. So it's just one of these tales that you just wouldn't have imagined telling.
Because like you were about to touch on it a wee bit there, but what's band life actually been like during COVID? Like, how have you coped?
Oh, I mean, it honestly is a shit. There's no two ways about it. And I know, like, people saying, "Oh, you should come out of this like we're writing loads of stuff." I literally have writer's block right now. I thought I would have all this spare time and I would get millions of things. I actually am doing loads as well, but I think it's hard on everybody. But obviously that week that I was just touching on, we lost Sean the week that we were going down to do House of the Rising Sun, and we just filmed Fun Time Frankie. And obviously Frank had like been sharing on his socials and stuff with like Russell Brand and like Irvin Welsh and everybody sharing all this, and then everything just stopped for us. So we'd already stopped. Like, we were finished, we were gone, didn't think we could do anything. And then weirdly, with a help of like Sean's family, all our friends and weird other folk coming into the mix, you wouldn't have imagined. We kind of thought, right, it was about February, we're like, right, we've got so much in the way of what we had to offer that we couldn't stop. So that was us between kind of the February and February and March. We managed to get LP and we were absolutely hitting the rehearsals hard. Our first gig was going to be the 3rd of April, and we couldn't believe that after finally picking ourselves up and finding a new guitarist and being able to kind of even think about going on stage that lockdown hit. So it was like a double blow. Like we'd already quit, kind of, and then we're like, nah, we need to keep going. And then COVID hit again. So more I feel for LP, she's not had a chance to meet anyone. We're having to like introduce everything about her online, and like to join, like, because she is the 5th member of the band now, and to join, it was quite a hard time for her, and she just was like so beautiful, so compassionate, that it just melted heavenly together. So I'm more distraught that LP just worked so hard. I didn't have to work hard. I knew the songs. I was just going on stage. But for her to not get her chance, for her to sell her house, to move to Glasgow, to start all this, I just can't imagine how hard that, the kind of small legacy we'd already built up. But she just hasn't yet had her chance to shine. But obviously she's been doing all her kind of live stuff and everything with us, all her pre-recorded stuff. And then the great thing was, obviously, it did feel like a gig. The Barrowlands obviously was just epic. And I think we've been really, really lucky. We've managed to nail some quite big online gigs. And I think the Dragon Soup advert, literally, we could not have been any luckier. Like, I think we were the first. I know, who was it? Biffy Clyro had done like just a wee acoustic set or something in there, but we were the first band since COVID, since lockdown, to actually go in there, full lighting rig, everything, and go for it. So Dragon Soup obviously were fitting the bill for it all, and they said, right, we don't know Glasgow, give us 3 venues that would be like epic for this advert. So there was kind of only 2. Well, obviously we couldn't really get the Hydro, but I mean, you would only really say the Barras or King Tut's, but for us it had to be the Barras, because we've gigged there twice with Sean. We had a lovely day when the staff helped us, and his family put a big love heart on the ceiling saying Shawnee, and it just means I just want to go to every gig now when the Barras opens back up, because his name's always up there. So for us, they were like, oh, did you get a bunch of venues? We were like, oh, really, we could only really get the Barras. So we knew we were desperate to get the Barras. And then they were like, right, okay, can you get a few recording studios? And I do feel quite bad at that, because we do go to a lot of recording studios. But just before lockdown, we had been having lots of great chats with Brendan Moon and Lee McCluskey from Morse Code Studios. And it was quite saddening, because they haven't, well, they've just started reopening a bit now, because Brendan manages Gun, the band Gun, who just won an award there for the Scottish Music Awards. So we said to Brendan, right, name your price, can we film in there? And he was like, oh, I need to get it cleaned. And we're like, Brendan, name your price. We're not paying for it. Name your price. Like, we want to give you money. We want to give you this work. So he's just so kind and so fair. He's like, no, I don't want to like rip the backside out of it, obviously. So that was great. We managed to also use his studio, get him money, because his studio's been shut. He's had no income. Same as well for the Barras, the lighting guy. He's obviously been out of work. Paid him. Got Brian Anderson along, great photographer. Paid him. So, and Bev was doing a lot of the coverage. So as I said earlier, Beverly Lyons writes for like The Sun, the Daily Record and stuff. So she also got on board, and we got her paid as well for kind of doing PR on it. So it was definitely a good choice, because obviously we had no money anyway, but Dragon Soup obviously were paying the bill. So it was great to get all our buddies kind of involved as much as we could.
You touched on him a wee bit there, and it was one of the questions I did want to ask, because scrolling through your social media, he pops up a lot, but where did the kind of friendship with yourself and Frank McAvenny come from?
I just think if you meet Frank, then you're instantly going to be friends with him anyway. So it's quite funny, the band is a little bit divided. Jim, Sean and Lindsay supported Celtic, and I'm the Rangers fan. LP, she's a bit in the fence. She's a Hibs fan, but we had been just so our first album, Love Drugs and On the Dole, is a concept album. So we had all these characters. Funtime Frankie is a real, I'm scared to even say this because in case he ever watches this, Funtime Frankie is a real gangster in Glasgow. Lizzie Coyne, Johnny Jones, all the names that feature in all our songs and stuff, all of these people are real characters. And so Funtime Frankie was written. So we actually were, for a while, trying to hire quite we're having a think of who to hire. So straight away, anyway, I said Frank McAvennie. And the band were like, yeah, but what about an actor? We maybe better go with an actor. Like, because obviously the Funtime Frankie, he mouths the words at the same time. A bit like the Blur song, Park Life.
Yeah.
Park Life. Aye, it is that one. Where that actor that was in Quadrophenia, forgot his name now, he obviously walks along now. So the one we kind of had an eye on was Jay for the In-Betweeners. So we were in talks with his management and his girlfriend. She was desperate for him to get it because we said she could be in the video as well. But he was just so busy. We couldn't have nailed him for about a year. And then it was funny, we started looking at a few guys like Razor Ruddock. Razor Ruddock was extortionate. I was. And another one. I mean, he does seem an absolute hoot. I don't know how you would actually have been able to even control him. We probably would have just strutted down the street like naked. But we'd been in quite a few talks with him. And then we had Tanner Hussein, and we were maybe even thinking of Danny Dyer, but he was doing Coronation Street at EastEnders at the time. And the funny was, we were in America touring, and we're sitting watching. I love podcasts. I love Open Goal. And obviously Frank has got a show on that with Derek and Sai and Slaney and stuff. So we were all just sitting watching. And again, I was like, I'm telling you, we should just use Frank. He stays up the road. He's hilarious. And listen to the words. It literally is almost written about him. And Jim's like, oh, David, that's a cracking idea. Like in front of all our friends in America. And I'm going, you're having a giraffe. I said that like 6 months ago. So it's so funny. We got in touch with Frank, and just in true Frank fashion, he's like, it sounds a laugh. And then I was kind of hounding him a little bit because we wanted like a couple of folk, and I was like, can I get Alan McCoy's, could you? And he's like, I can ask him, but he's quite busy, and he is quite busy. And he was obviously saying about Andy, and I've obviously been a Rangers fan, like what a goalie, iconic. So I was just like a wee child, like totally meeting these heroes and stuff. But we'd obviously met Frank for a coffee 2 seconds along the road at Starbucks. He just was exactly as we would have imagined he would be. Met a couple of times after that. We'd done a wee quick rehearsal in the Clutha, and this was the time we had to say, right, we need to teach you a dance. And he's like, a dance? I can't dance. But we had Laura teach them and everything, and it was great. And then when it came to filming, honestly, the guy just doesn't turn off. He's like in top form like the whole way through. So was Andy. So it was like a magical day, even being able to film with them. And it just all went so well. And Sean came in dressed in white, his big guitar, and honestly, it was brilliant. And then on the back of that, the funny thing was, all these ones we were looking at, Danny Dyer, Razor, they all absolutely worship Frank Russell Brand because of what a big West Ham legend he is. And it's crazy, he's a bigger West Ham legend, I think, than he is, I feel, than a Celtic legend. Like, I feel like Celtic don't give him the praise he should get up here. And I'm not even a Celtic fan, and I'm like, he's an absolute legend. But I'm glad to see anyway now he's got his own gin, and he's in the Celtic Legends First Star thing. But no, he's been great. Andy as well. And then obviously we did the premiere of the show as well, which we had cancelled everything, and the company we were using, the theatre, gave us all our money back, even gave us our deposits back and stuff, because we didn't think we could have even shown it without Sean. And it was such a shame. Like, Sean's family was like, no, you have to show this. So we did a full premiere first for Sean's family. We got sponsored, got a free bar, and then also did another premiere for his fans as well to watch.
Was it through Frank McAvennie you then met Simon Donnelly? Because I've seen you've put a lot of things up with Simon Donnelly.
So again, Frank helped us out big time again. I mean, for Frank's birthday was just the other week there, 22nd of November. Frank last year for his 60th, like, had went, oh guys, go to London for my birthday. He's got to come. That was it. Didn't have to ask us twice. We're like, yeah. Went to London. Oh my word. I had said I would be the designated driver that day. By 9 a.m, I was already drunk. 9 a.m, because West Ham had put on a birthday breakfast for him. And I'm going to get to Simon Donnelly bit in a second. And so, anyway, we had an amazing weekend. It was that good that we tried to go to the airport for a flight the next day, missed our flight. I left every single bit of all my belongings in security, still never got them back. So yeah, Frank has been exceptionally good to us. Him and Moya entertained us the whole weekend and everything. So that was us. We'd done the birthday, we'd done the show and everything, and we were starting to kind of pick ourselves up a wee bit. Like Frank and Andy and everyone, they don't even know how much of a lift they kind of gave us when we needed it. And then we'd kind of been discussing about doing a charity match in honour of Sean, because we were setting up a charity for Sean called Shine on Sean charity, which Sean's family are running. So sadly, we did have more events. I think it was in April, and obviously again that got closed down and stuff. But hopefully next year we can assist them in all their charity events and everything. It was great. So Frank was like, right, I'll put you in touch with, it was Mark Guidi. Mark Guidi, obviously super scoreboard guy. Oh, well, he does absolutely everything now that I've seen. But the funny thing was, I had actually played in the summer a charity match for Alzheimer's. Not that Simon would even have knew that anyway, but there was a Legends team and then there was 9 other teams. The Legends actually won. They bet everybody hands down. So I played them in that tournament, but I never managed to get a picture with him, but I got a picture with everybody else. But then fast forward into the January, Mark was like, right, okay, and then he got Andy McLaren for Dundee. He was like, look, I'm going to give you his number. He will help me like get players. So then we're really, really lucky that Andy was like, oh, I've got you like Simon Donnelly and Charlie Miller and Robbie Winters, and he was just rhyming off all these names. And I remember he even phoned me the night before, and I mean, it was like 2 a.m, and I was still up trying to keep fixing the team sheet, because like this kind of 11-a-side football match had grown into about 40 players, because I had the names of all the legends, and then I had the names of all the people who had paid, because you had to buy a ticket to play. So obviously we're raising money for charity. And then Billy Coyle, oh bless him, he's like, oh God, I've not given you the names of all my guys. I was like, oh my God, what do you mean? I thought they'd already paid and they were in my list. So anyway, didn't matter. There was hundreds, there was like 20 asides. So I remember Andy phoning me up that night and he was like, oh, have you any space? James McFadden will play. And he was naming all these other players. And I was like, as if I'm going to sit and go, no, they can't play. So it just screwed arms and legs. There's a few legends there, obviously. Well, they're all legends. It was just like for Lee McCulloch to even play, like obviously being a Rangers fan, I was like, right, I'm on Lee's team. Andy Gorham. And then who else? There was obviously Frank, Darren Jackson. There was hundreds, like, it just was amazing. It was just amazing, like, the support. And we were raising money for Chris Boyd's mental health charity. And then we've still actually got some other money left over, which is going to go, because what I think the Shine on Sean charity is going to be doing, eventually we were working on a thing and it was going to be for touring the schools, doing kind of, I don't know if you call it seminars, whatever, but basically playing and discussing mental health, because it is something that's affected our band before Sean anyway, and it was something we're going to continue on for Sean's charity, and hopefully we can still do that in the future. But yeah, there's still money in the pot, and I think his family, until they're really up and running, they're going to just keep donating to other worthy kind of mental health charities and such. So but yeah, so that's how we ended up kind of getting in with all the guys. They just helped us out massively with our charity football match, and it's Sean's 30th next year. So hopefully by then COVID will have got to, and we actually can have another amazing match, and it'll be 30th, and we'll have hundreds of charity events and stuff. So really looking forward to 2021. So are you a Celtic fan then? Is that why you're asking about Simon?
Yes, that's why I was asking, because I was just looking, I was seeing Frank McAvenny, Simon Donnelly, and I started kind of going, oh, fanboying a wee bit. Then I noticed after I kept asking, I was like, right, I'm just pure fanboying her here on the telly about all these famous players. I was like, you need to stop.
It was a charity match. But it was great. It was so good. I don't think, probably all these footballers that do these charity matches don't actually realise like what an impact they have on like the charities they're helping, because like for us that was amazing, and just hopefully we can do it every year, and every year it'll get bigger and better, and we'll just see where it goes.
No, that's amazing, and it sounds like you're doing some amazing work for an amazing cause, and that's what it's all about at the end of the day. Because I think at the end of the day, mental health affects everyone in some shape or form. So the more work and the more put out there about it, the better.
Yes.
Because like we noticed you had plans to tour America at the end of the year, letting they get pushed back. Is that something you're looking to revisit again next year?
Yeah, absolutely. We thought this was going to be, because we've already in 2018 we toured America. We played New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, and somewhere else, and I can't even think so now. And then 2019 we were back over there in April, and it was insane, because the first year we went there, obviously we were just playing in all these kind of bars and stuff. One of the greatest venues as a bar in Philadelphia, and it was like John Legend like had his residency in there, and the owner, she's just a beauty of a woman. So she was like, I definitely have to come back. But like even just her putting all her social media out, we couldn't believe, we turned up at the gig the second year, absolutely not one person was missing. Every single person who'd seen us at that gig the year before all came back the next year with all their friends. And it was funny because like we'd stayed in touch with all of them for a year on social media, and you kind of think, I'll never see them again, and not. And then we made even more friends. So like we were buzzing, because so the second time we played Atlantic City, New Jersey, Philadelphia, Baltimore, and we absolutely thought this 2020, and we were thinking this is going to go on for years, because we actually have quite a good following in America. And yeah, that we were going to, I'm going to get it all wrong, we're going to Mississippi. Oh God, I wish somebody was here to help me. But we're doing New Orleans. Where is it? Elvis stays. I know it's Graceland, but that bit, I forgot the name of that bit. And then up Tennessee and everything, Georgia. I know I've just totally forgot, but Memphis and all that. Anyway, we were doing 8 gigs, and the good thing was we were also touring with another band called Ascension Drive, who we played with in America 2019. Try to think all these years. Just 2020 just doesn't count. I feel like I should have gigged this year, but I haven't. So yes, I'll be back in the cards. We're supposed to play there in October. We're massively looking forward to it, but it's fine. We will just go there next year. Everybody speak to 2020 doesn't count anyway. So yeah, absolutely back on the cards. We just can't decide. We were going back in April, but now we just don't. And I'm already going to America in October. But I was doing like the whole Disney, Halloween, everything. But now I'm a bit like, I don't know whether to just book and go with the band in October and stuff. So I don't know, but we'll be back 2021 for definite.
So like you were touching on it a wee bit earlier about the kind of virtual gigs. How have you found them, like compared to a normal gig? I know, like without the
can't stand them. Listen, we're very lucky to get the virtual gigs that we get. We are, yeah, I'm allowed to say it. So we're just about to do. In fact, after this is no joke. I've got my stuff sitting here. Give me 1 second, right?
No worries.
I bet I break this. I end up snapping this. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it for my hair.
Oh, right.
Yeah, after this tonight, I am filming some Christmas stuff. Oh, my hair's everywhere. Ready? This is one look.
For twinning.
This is my other look. I'm supposed to be filming some stuff later. So we're doing Soup Mass. We're doing a Dragon Soup Christmas Advent calendar type 12 Days of Christmas gig. So buzzing for that. This one's been really hard because they're the technical ones. So it started with Lindsay having to record, because obviously we can't get in a studio. Lindsay's had to record all her drums and everything. She then sent them to LP. LP then recorded her guitar over it, sends it back to Lindsay. I then now have to record my vocals. I think I'll be able, though, I can't really remember. Are you still allowed one pair? And are you still allowed into somebody's house? I'm lost with it all, honestly. Are you not?
No, well, no. Well,
so I might have to wait until this. I know. See, Lindsay's family. Lindsay's my bubble. I don't even know. But I just have to do my vocals and hopefully try and put something together somehow. Because this one's hard because it's actually in about 12 days, and I think we've got almost all the songs ready. I'm just the last bit to record my vocals on it. But we tried this at the start of lockdown, doing it bit by bit by bit, but we never had the technology, and it was so bad. I was ill when I seen the video once it was all put together. And by that time, we'd run out of time. We were being paid. We had to submit something, or we would have to give our wages back. So I wasn't over the moon. It's just because I don't like putting out anything that's not perfect, but we'd never ever did anything like that before. Nobody had really done anything like that before. So, I'm not over the moon that we're having to do online gigs, but I'm very much grateful that we're getting the ones that we're getting, because the ones we've been getting have been quite high profile. So it's good that way. And then it's funny because when we were doing it, it was an excuse for us to go in as a band and just have fun, record and everything. This time's a lot harder because we didn't actually anticipate there would be another lockdown. We just wish we'd kind of get in the studio a bit quicker, but it's just taking a lot out of what a normal gig should be. But yesterday, actually, I was quite buzzing for the Frontline Scotland gig. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I quite liked it because it was live, the way they streamed it, so you could comment and talk to people. I quite liked yesterday's. So I think, Soup Mass is the next best thing to a Christmas gig. And we usually play Barrowlands and all that around Christmas time and stuff, so a bit gutted at that. But look, it's the way of 2020. I just hope it's not the way of 2021. But I think it's good because it's keeping a lot of musical minds going to do that. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, I know for a while Facebook was just flooded of everybody just doing like a stand-up in their living room. But I've loved like the big massive ones. I mean, I'm the same. I just kind of sit here, record a wee song, if it's a bit mince, and I can crop a bit of it, stick it in my story. If it's a wee one I like it, maybe put it on my Instagram. And it's more, I'm just trying to keep people reminded that I'm a singer. I'm still trying to sing. So hard for us all.
Because what would you prefer, the online gigs or like the Tri-Pilot, or what they were Tri-Pilot down in England, where they were putting folk in essentially a wee cage?
I know. Well, I mean, I know it's hard, but I think I'd still absolutely love that raw live audience. I remember when I first seen it, whoever it was that had the first gig like that, and I was like, because I'd only just, before lockdown or whatever, I went to see the Foo Fighters, and I remember being like crammed in with all these beautiful people, and I just love that togetherness of a gig. But I'd still, I think, always prefer to play, because I think it's everything about it. It's the build up, it's the getting there, it's the rehearsals to get there, it's just the banter with everyone that's around you. I know you'd still be social distance, but I think all day long I'd still vote for a live gig. And if folk are willing to still pay and sit in their bubble pens or whatever it's going to kind of look like, I just hope I don't know. I don't see how 2021 can quickly eradicate and everything, this virus, and everything goes back to normal. But I mean, I've got a hell of a lot of tickets for next year. I've got Killers, Green Day. I'm actually got tickets for the Hydro, for the Celtic big function. What else? I've got tickets for the Billy McNeil Ball Mark Hall. I'm just trying to think, because I purposely didn't take refunds for anything. I just thought, nah, it's just going to save me a fortune next year. I won't need to buy tickets for next year. And then I'm already buying more tickets anyway, so.
It seems
What
like,
would you prefer?
I never usually get asked questions. Now I'm on the spot. I like that wee role reversal there. For me, I don't think I would like the wee cages. I don't know. It just goes. It just doesn't scream a gig to me. Because
Yeah.
you go to a gig, it's like you meet. It's all about like kind of going and meeting folk and singing and being kind of close with your mates and just essentially having like a really good time. Meeting people you would never normally meet. I think if you're like penned into a wee cage and just kind of sitting there with a wee glass of wine, surfing away,
I mean, yeah, definitely would be a killer, as in the normal experience. But sitting in a house yourself, watching an online gig, or at least going out, I just still think I would go out. But I do agree, you're still actually forking out the same money for.
With a wee glitch there. Sorry, what was that?
No, I was just saying, I mean, you're still paying the same price for a ticket, so it probably is a bit of a killer that you are sitting down. And it's not that, you're actually, because they're having to space out these pens, you're miles away as well. Are we cutting off?
No, I was just I was thinking there because I was it probably suits a lot of people as well if it's more kind of chilled out. I think there's a lot of people that might not normally go to gigs that might go to gigs if that's the kind of vibe, because not everyone likes being crammed. So I think there'll be two sides of the kind of spectrum. There'll be people that'll absolutely love it, and it'll be like a date night essentially. Like kind of maybe middle age could go with a partner, sit down, have a glass of wine, a blanket, whatever, and make a whole kind of night of it. And I think for them, they might quite enjoy that more than the mosh pits.
Aye.
But it does seem that you're really busy the night, so I'll fire one last question at you. So, where do you think the band will be in 5 years' time?
Oh, do you know what? I don't even care as long as we're together, as long as we're still gigging live, and all that. Like, has been. I just hope that bit never wears off. I spoke to loads of musicians, a lot of big musicians that I have spoke to and stuff have said, like, sometimes you get in a rut with a band you're with and you have to leave and go in with another band, and I just hope that never becomes the case. But I don't think it would, because I've loved every minute of the Remains. It's a different feel, it's a family. So so what would that be, 2025? 5 years time. I'd be, listen, everybody'd love to go, I wish I was selling out the Hydro, which would be amazing. But sometimes I think the Hydro you miss. For me, I love like the Barrowlands anyway. I just want to be a bit closer to people and stuff. So I don't know 5 years time, but if you'd asked me in 2015 would I be in 5 years time, I did not. I think I'd be sitting singing into my phone for 6 months of 2020. But let's just say, I think 5 years, hopefully we're just getting bigger and better, and the memories are just being like even better than they could possibly be, and we're all happy and healthy, and that would just do me nicely.
Because I think
a nice wee Ferrari parked outside.
I think that's likely, because I was just thinking back, because the first time I'd heard the news was from one of my mates, Tom McConnell. He worked in William Hill as well.
Oh yeah.
And he was telling me about when he was going to the Hard Rock Cafe album launch. Funny enough, we were talking about that the other day, and that was the first time I'd heard these, and that wasn't that long ago. So, where you said went from there to where you are now, like you've essentially just kind of went like that. Like you went from the Hard Rock Cafe to like being like the face of Dragon Soup essentially. So I think it's easy to say in 5 years' time you're going to be fucking massive.
Fingers crossed.
So, do you have any social medias that you want to put out there before you go?
You can catch us on everything from Twitter to Instagram to Facebook. We're obviously as well on YouTube. In fact, there's some right dodgy stuff flying about YouTube. But we do have a couple of things that we're we're just about to record with our producer. So that's still a wee bit hanging in the balance. We've got 2 songs. Well, one I think I would like to say, one's called Asylum. And another one's a bit of an anthem, which I'm not allowed to say now. So at least, yeah, we've got a lot kind of still coming up. But to end the year, Soupmass is our next big thing. And if anyone wants to catch up on the Frontline Scotland gig, you'll find that also on all our social medias. But that was a great gig yesterday. But thank you very much, though, for having me.
No, it's been brilliant, and it's been great talking to you, because I was thinking there as well, the charity, Sean's charity, do they have any social media, just so we can put it in the video for anyone that listens to just jump over and give them a bit of support?
There is a website. Yeah. So on Facebook, there is the Shine on Sean charity. We also, hopefully there'll be some events coming up next year that Sean's family are putting on, and they'll be amazing. And on our shop, the Ronane's Big Cartel, we have Sean's album, Failure to Launch. It's an absolute... It's beautiful because this album came out after Sean's passing. His auntie Linda released it, and it's on Spotify and everything as well. But I do urge people to buy the album, because it's a piece of history, and all the proceeds will be going to the Shine on Sean charity and his little boy Jackson. So yeah, we've got our shop, the Big Cartel, the Ronane's Big Cartel, but you'll find it on our social medias. But yeah, you'll get our array of t-shirts that you were talking about before. And of course, our album and our beloved Shawnee Scott's album, Failure to Launch.
I might get lynched for saying this off the rest of the guys, but the t-shirts are fucking amazing. But they're some of the funniest t-shirts I think I've seen, but they're really good. Oh, it's froze.
Are we there? Sorry, we froze a wee bit there.
Sorry, I was just saying about the t-shirts. I was saying, like, in fear of getting lynched by the rest of the guys, it's got some of the best, like Big Cartel. It's got some of the best t-shirts I think I've seen. They're really funny. But
they're quite popular, yeah.
I can imagine the Boris Johnson ones, and particularly popular.
Yes, it was. It went down a storm. We used to have a Theresa May one, and it's quite funny because obviously then when bloody Boris took over, we were like, oh no, we've got a bunch of blooming Theresa May t-shirts to sell, and now we've still got about 20 Trump t-shirts, but that's my bad. I was supposed to send about 12 to America, but I was waiting on our face masks, and I was going to put them in for free, and then there you go, Biden comes in and Trump's out, and I'm still sitting here with all these t-shirts. So yeah, I've got a few cheap Trump and Theresa May t-shirts going for sale, but no, we just like to have a bit of fun with our t-shirts. We used to have a Piers Morgan one and all, but listen, it's all just a wee bit of tongue-in-cheek. Well, it's not really tongue-in-cheek with Boris, it's actually absolutely true, but he is a super callous little. But yeah, we just like to have a wee bit of fun. I mean, we're not very serious as a band, so and everybody always knows like our kind of political stance with things and everything, so we let it be known.
That's it. It's your band, it's your name. Do whatever the fuck you want, mate.
Yeah.
And don't let anybody tell you any different. But thanks, guys, for listening at home, and we'll catch you next time.